The Cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. He'd often say in his homely way, he'd rather live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes would close, our lashes froze, and sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. On that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, "Cap," he says, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no, and he said with a sort of moan, "It's that cursed cold that's got right hold till I'm chilled clear through to the bone. Tain't being dead's my awful dread, it's the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear, come foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I would not fail. We started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on his sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, but before nightfall a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Well, the promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were numb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, and I swore I would not give in. I'd often sing to that hateful thing, and it would hearken with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, and I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, thought a bit, looked at my frozen chum. "And here," I said with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." Some planks I tore from the cabin floor and lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around and heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. The heavens scowled and the huskies howled and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold and the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And that greasy smoke in the inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with that grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked and it's time I looked. And the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. He wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in that cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee.